When Jennifer Siebel Newsom arrived at the California governor's office, she scrapped the traditional First Lady title and made up her own. She was a Division I soccer recruit to Stanford, where she later got her MBA, then became a documentary filmmaker, sparking national conversation. For the last 17 years, she's best known for being the wife of Governor Gavin Newsom. Not what you might expect from a girl who grew up in a prominent conservative family, and now stands by her husband's side, throwing flames at President Trump.
I feel like sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. I mean, the stakes are just that high. We can't check out and move to another country or hide under a log. Like, we can't. That's not who we are.
I spent 3 days with Siebel Newsom and her husband, the governor, to find out more about life in the Newsom family, at their home in Marin County and the governor's office in Sacramento. You can listen to my conversation with the governor in another episode of the Circuit Pod. In this episode, I talked to Siebel Newsom about pushing back against President Trump, holding tech companies accountable, raising 4 kids under intense public scrutiny, and whether her husband should make a run for the White House. Here's my conversation with California First partner, Jennifer Siebel Newsom. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. And I know you don't open your house up very often, so thank you.
Thank you.
For having us here.
Happy to be here with you.
You wanted to be called First Partner instead of First Lady.
Mm-hmm.
How are you trying to change the stereotype of what it means to be a politician's wife?
It's a great question. So we agreed to give me the title First Partner to really signify to the world what's possible, that there will be a female governor, LGBTQ plus governor in the future. Also, we felt it was important to really shine a light on partnership. And partnership makes the world go round. We do live in a society that values the rugged individual and doesn't place enough value on the feminine and care and partnership and collaboration. And so for me, I really wanted to put out to Californians that I wanted to partner with California moms and families and women and children, and that I would be their partner, and that I also was a partner to the governor. I'm the first person that sees him in the morning, the last person before bed at night. We share our thoughts, our passions, our concerns for California and for the world. And while I am holding down the fort and so focused on ensuring that, I raise healthy, whole, kind, contributing citizens, I am also his partner in both personally and publicly, and then doing the other things that enable us to live in this state and live this life. And hopefully our lived experiences can help inform making California better for California families.
What was it like to trade one stage for another and go from Hollywood to politics?
Well, I think I was grateful for the experience that I had in the entertainment industry, just in terms of the storytelling component, not being afraid to give speeches and speak publicly. And I think just like the public nature. But, I made my first documentary, Misrepresentation, after experiencing in the entertainment industry this not just misrepresentation, but the underrepresentation of women in positions of power and influence. And I happened to be introduced to my husband in that time period where I was thinking about making this documentary, and noted that there are all these powerful women in the real world, but the entertainment industry was sort of limiting powerful women initially to sort of our youth, our beauty, and our sexuality. And I felt like it was really important to expose that the media at the time wasn't giving justice to what a powerful woman really was outside of our sexuality. And so I think just bringing those experiences into the dating and then marrying a public servant gave me this different perspective on everything. Media is the greatest cultural communicator of our time. And so for me, what I experienced growing up and ultimately what I then experienced in the entertainment industry helped me to kind of form narratives that ultimately I think could be helpful to the general public and Californians in the role of First Partner.
I want to linger on the Hollywood thing for a moment and how women have been historically represented there. But you were typecast as a trophy wife.
Yes.
Right? And is it true that your agent wanted you to take Stanford off your resume so you wouldn't seem smart?
Yes, and to lie about my age, which I didn't do either, because that's not, those aren't my values. And I was proud of my Stanford MBA, and I was proud of my Stanford undergraduate degree, and I was proud of not just being educated and informed, but also of having lived and having had lived experiences, and I didn't want to pretend to be someone that I wasn't.
So you're a prolific filmmaker. You have covered these issues from the representation of women to raising young men to inequality. What are you taking from your filmmaking in terms of informing your agenda? How is what you've learned over the course of your career informing what you think the government needs? Well,
Prior to entertainment, but in the entertainment industry, I obviously saw a dearth of women in positions of power and influence. And I also saw women's voices be silenced because women weren't the majority of writers, directors, and producers. And similar to the political world, women may be rising in terms of our numbers and representation, but women don't have the same voice and power in politics. And so I do think that my experiences in that particular industry influence my sort of observation in politics that women's voices were not as valuable, that our stories weren't being told, that our perspectives weren't necessarily being listened to, and therefore the policies that were being created weren't always helping our progress because they were made by and informed by a male perspective for the most part. So again, even if things were shifting just as they started to shift in the entertainment industry, we were still not achieving the progress that was possible, again, because of the underrepresentation and the misrepresentations.
You're still making movies, you're being first partner, you're a mom to 4 kids. How do you divide your time between Sacramento and here? I mean, you're spending a lot of time in the car, right? Like, what's your daily and weekly routine?
Well, great question. I mean, I think for all of us working moms, it's a juggle. It's messy. It takes a village, right? It really does take a team. We did live in Sacramento for 6 years, and we also lived there during the pandemic. Our world, in a sense, was smaller. We had fewer friends, a smaller community. It was work, and the kids. I do have some wonderful girlfriends up there, but it really was a smaller community. I think moving back here has been a transition, and that's part of why I feel like our home is a transition, because work is there for him, or it's been in LA since the fires. I mean, it's been in the Central Valley the entire time he's been governor. And so we're just constantly like on the road trying to be as efficient with our time as possible. But it's super messy. And the kids let you know when you've been gone too long, whether it's just that he's been gone too long or I've been gone too long or just we're not present or what have you. And so, it's just like any working family's struggle of balance. And I would say I'm pretty proud. I mean, my team's been awesome. I'm not in Sacramento as much as I used to be, and that is a bummer for me because I really enjoy all of that and the work that we're doing out of my office. We're so focused on, we have a California for All Women's agenda, California for All Kids agenda, and all of our work on belonging and California really becoming the state of community and connection and social well-being. But there are also chapters. And so I'm just finishing my next documentary, Misrepresentation 2.0, which really looks at tech-facilitated gender-based violence as the new backlash against girls' and women's mental health agency and political efficacy. So I've been on the road with that, or I've been more focused on that. We just launched our Women's Wealth Gap initiative in council, and there's a lot of delegation going on, and it's really about partnership. Right? So when you ask that big question of how do you do it all, I only do it through partnership. I could not do this on my own. And I definitely feel like I have partners in all these different places in my life. And it is exciting, but it's not easy, right? As I think just even raising 4 kids today, as I imagine for you, is not easy.
It's not easy. No, definitely not easy. It's awesome, but it's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
You and the governor met on a blind date. He was in the headlines, San Francisco's most eligible bachelor. Mayor McCarty, I think I read. Not untouched by scandal either. How did you handle all that?
I honestly knew nothing about him. I was in my own little world in the entertainment industry, trying to write stories for female protagonists and to kind of uplift what I thought were inspiring stories that weren't out there as a producer and also acting.
But you had to start Googling at some point. Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I did. Actually, the mutual friend that had introduced us, sent me an article of him with a basketball in a bus. And we all played basketball. Basketball was actually my favorite sport. I played soccer overseas on the under-23 national soccer team, and I played at Stanford, but basketball was my favorite sport. And I almost left Stanford to go play basketball at Princeton because I'd been recruited to play there.
Wow.
And I love basketball, and that was kind of cool that he was a basketball player. And really, that's all I knew. I promise you, I knew nothing. I'd done a commercial with his brother-in-law a year or so prior, and we were a married couple in this commercial, and his brother-in-law was saying, "You need to meet my brother," and I knew nothing about him because I wasn't focused on politics. I wasn't really interested. But it just became this beautiful friendship and relationship and partnership, and then 4 kids later, here we are.
4 kids later. We're going to talk about your kids in a moment, but you used to be a registered Republican.
I was yep.
Your parents contributed to Ron DeSantis's campaign for Florida governor. I know your cousin, Tom Siebel, donated.
No, he's not my cousin. So my dad is a wonderful human. I was raised in a conservative household, kind of Reagan-esque household. I didn't know any different than to kind of revere Reagan. I grew up in that generation, and I lived and worked in Africa and Latin America and all over the world with indigenous communities and Bush women in particular. And when I graduated college and was working for Conservation International, I started to kind of connect the dots, but didn't really pay much attention to political parties. And then I think I, at one point, tried to be the version of decline to state, but went independent instead and made that mistake just because I wasn't ready to just jump in just because he was a Democrat. But I'm 100% a progressive.
How does this dynamic work in your own family? What's the conversation like at the Thanksgiving table? Do you talk about politics?
My mom and dad really respect Gavin. Gavin is an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He is very forward-thinking, very fair, very balanced. I can be a little feistier. I feel a real responsibility to fight up and for and on behalf of women and girls. It's
Yeah.
So I think so I think that's very much what can sometimes historically have triggered my dad, because I'm the eldest of, we were 5. I lost my older sister. And I think some of my dad's friends, to be honest, in his conservative financial circles that he worked in, were a little bit shocked by this, Stanford graduating, soccer playing, basketball, tennis, whatever, athlete star who he raised, who then went and got her MBA, kind of challenging him in certain realms just related to equality. And my dad's always been the biggest champion of women and girls and underprivileged communities. He was giving scholarships when he could to those who were under-resourced. But I think it was just a little bit of a check on the patriarchy that I started to bring home. And so it was, at a time where I think that generation of men weren't ready for it and were less comfortable because they were used to being the boss. And I think we've grown through that. And there's so much. I love my dad so much. He is so kind, like my husband. And I think he's grown with me and seen, okay, she's totally fair, right? And that our perspective is not a threat. We're not taking away from them. It's just a shift in mentality and perspective generationally that my husband and I are equals. We're not in a household where I walk around on eggshells and where I don't have financial control or say. And so it's just a different generation. And I feel like my dad and I have grown even closer as a result of some of these conversations.
Well, part of the reason I ask is because this is happening in a lot of families right now.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about politics. Families are breaking up. Book clubs are breaking up. How do you talk to your family when you disagree about politics?
If I may correct the record as well, my mom and dad were invited to a fundraiser by a mutual friend in Florida, which is why they gave money to Ron DeSantis. And they did not like the way it was manipulated by the DeSantis camp. But what I will say is that I think these conversations are hard. I don't think technology has helped in any way. In fact, it's further sowed division and othering. And it's one of the reasons I think we're in such a crisis in this country, because most people in public service are in it for the right reasons. And most people, I would argue, that I know who are still voting conservative or Republican, they're just not getting all the facts of the other side. And so I really think so much of this has to do with the misinformation and, again, the othering that's sadly been the biggest negative outcome of this technological revolution.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. You just touched a little bit on growing up. You grew up in this area. What was it like growing up, Jennifer Siebel?
I really woke up after my sister died, but I also lived with a lot of guilt and pain. And the beauty of surviving that was that there were so many beautiful moms and older women and older sisters who came in to support me and my family. But I think it was that sort of embracing of the feminine and how my parents themselves disconnected, and we just spent a lot of time in nature. I spent a lot of time in gardens, in parks, healing. We moved to Montana for a year. My dad worked and commuted from there, and I just spent really time lost in the wilderness. And I think that between nature and the feminine and women and animals, I got through it, to come out on the other side and realize that I survived and had this opportunity to be of service and be about more than myself and try to make a difference in the world and try to help other people and try to prevent suffering, unnecessary suffering and pain.
Thank you for sharing that. I've read about how you've talked about how she inspired your life in public service, and you've said you tried to be two people to be perfect because you didn't feel like you were enough. Do you feel like you're enough now?
I do. I don't think, though, that the world sees women as enough. I think we sadly live in a patriarchal society. I think our countries become even more patriarchal in that women are still relegated to second-class citizens. And we only have to look at some of the policies that the current administration has championed, not just related to reproductive care, but obviously reproductive care, but ripping families apart, ripping children away from their mothers and their grandmothers, ripping healthcare away from vulnerable communities, SNAP benefits, you name it. And again, I equate it to a backlash because we have made progress. And I think there are so many good human beings that see the value in the feminine, that see the value in us standing in our power and having voices and using our voices to champion policies and practices that could make the world a better place. And yet there are a few that are now in power that are threatened by that and want to kind of push us back to the olden days where women had less power and privilege. And so it's a crazy time
It's a crazy
to be a woman. And while I feel enough, I do feel like my battle is to help other women feel like they're enough and to help the world and those in power see our value and stop rendering us invisible.
How do you and the governor support and challenge each other in your political ambitions?
So we inform each other big time. He's learned so much from my documentaries. And he says that, and he admits that. He's like literally line for line from my film. And so it's awesome because he really gets it. Misrepresentation, the mask you live in. Like he understands, he sees the connectivity. He is so bright and such a policy wonk. And I intuit a lot and I will check him with that. But I also don't know what I don't know. And I admire how studied he is and how informed he is. So, I'm always going to lean into centering women, supporting women, because we are the backbones of our families, our communities, our economy. And I'm always going to lean into protecting and safeguarding children's rights and safety and giving kids the best start in life. And he already knows all of the policy stuff, but I'm going to always kind of bring the heart in and the check in just to make sure that there's balance in California driving innovation while also keeping our kids safe. That's non-negotiable. And so that's really the dance, which he as a father totally gets. He also is an entrepreneur. We're both entrepreneurs. We're both really creative. We both think outside of the box. And he is even more of like a futurist and gets it in a way that I would argue, I feel like the speed of technology and what it's doing to our nervous systems is a bit out of control, and that we kind of need to come back to the speed of nature, Mother Nature, which is just about balance. Technology is here to stay. I just want a little more balance for all of us. There's so many incredible things that we can solve with technology, and I want to make sure that it's in check and that there's a balance and harmony, because technology shouldn't replace the real world, and it is for so many people.
Does he come to you for support or advice or validation?
Oh, yes, he does. Yeah, I mean, he's hard on himself. He's really hard on himself. And I think he knows I'm going to give it to him straight.
Some partners of government leaders enjoy the opportunity and the attention that comes with this position. Do you enjoy it? Or has it taken some getting used to?
It's a good question. I just am a worker bee. I think my husband and I are just worker bees. I actually don't love the pomp and circumstance at all. We do it, but I'm like, I want to roll my sleeves up and get to work. That's who I am, and I think that's who he is too. I think he did a lot of pomp and circumstance as mayor, and I think that bores him. I just like being with people. I want to inspire people. I want to be inspired. I want to learn from people. I want to partner. I want the best minds in a room. We had this earlier today. It was all these incredible people in tech, aligned with tech, helping us solve some of these really vexing problems. It was a really, really great room to be in. I love that. He loves that.
Okay, so outside of the political spotlight, when the cameras are off, the apps are put away, what are you two like as a couple? Like, what's something that might surprise us?
We love design. You couldn't tell because we didn't finish the house. No, we do. We love the creative together. We love all that. He loves to cook. I like to cook. He's really fast and good at cleaning.
Who does the dishes?
Well, I feel like when he's around, he's good at the dishes. He's really fast at the dishes. It takes me like an hour. I'm like, let me put you to bed. Let me go read you a story. Let's start dancing. He's very like, get it done. So he is actually really good at the dishes. He's actually very neat. Sometimes I feel like I'm a mad scientist, but I've learned to be a lot more organized because of him. Look, we have like 12 million animals. The chaos works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. I remember when we brought our first puppy home, He was like, nope, because then they die and then it's sad and, this whole thing. And I found the puppy in bed the first night. I came home, I had a late event or something, and there's the puppy. And so clearly the puppy melded to him. And, we're relatively healthy. I love my chocolate. I love my dessert. We are both athletes, and we hike all the time in our awesome state parks and local parks. We used to play a lot of sports together. With fractures here and there, it's become less, exciting to get out there and be re-injured.
I was going to say, I know you both played hardcore team sports. Are you competitive with each other?
Totally. I beat him in free throws the other day. Thank you very much. No. Oh yeah, I'm sure we are. I don't know. Life is big. Life is full, and so we just try to take moments. We love good food. We love different cultures. We love to travel together. We love music. It's full, right? It's full. It's fun. Work hard, play hard.
Mm-hmm. Who's the stricter parent?
I am, totally. But he's very calm, and he'll be like, we're taking that away, and you will not have that back. And I'm like, we were raised in different households. Mm-hmm. His parents separated when he was really young. He was raised by a single mom. She worked multiple jobs. He was a latchkey kid. So he was bullied by this neighbor. He had dyslexia. He had his stuff. I lost my sister, felt responsible, felt like I had to be perfect. Also, probably as a natural response, I think I dreamt a lot. I read a lot. I was in nature a lot. It was sort of like a trauma response of me trying to find solace in different ways.
You testified against Harvey Weinstein in 2018. You testified that Harvey Weinstein sexually assaulted you.
Yeah.
And you were part of the Me Too movement. And there was that moment for women where it felt like progress was being made. Mm-hmm. And then there's the moment that we're in now where it feels like so many things women fought for are slipping away.
Yeah.
How do you make sense of this moment?
Every time we make progress, there's another backlash. I would say technology is the new backlash. We don't have as many women in power starting, designing, running these tech companies. It's part of the problem. Historically, there's been an old boys club. And I mean, it's historic, it's old, it's not new. Silence women to get their voices and their power out of the public. It's disturbing and it's terrifying, to be honest, that we're still experiencing this. But what could we expect when we have the person in the White House that we have in the White House?
You made a documentary 10 years ago about an emerging crisis among young men. Mm-hmm. The governor credits you with identifying an epidemic that nobody else was talking about at the time.
Right.
Now we're seeing young men gravitating towards a certain kind of rhetoric. What do you think the problem is today with young men? Like, how would you describe what they're going through?
Well, I think culturally, there's been a loneliness epidemic for many young men who maybe don't have team sports and don't have healthy home lives and who are drawn down this dark web of misogyny vis-a-vis whatever form of social media and technology and video games. And the manosphere online has really just capitalized on filling that void of loneliness and a lack of healthy role models. It's also a result, I would argue, of especially a certain population of young men thinking that there isn't room for them because the education system has leaned towards really kind of supporting young women's sort of where they are in their lives and their academic skills. And so it's a mix and a confluence because, look, I have 2 boys and 2 girls, girl, boy. And I have kids with learning differences. I have kids with not, with other, we all have our thing. Mm-hmm. And I just, as I observe our larger culture, I think as we've told our girls to stand up and speak up and be proud, and as we've supported them in their pursuits, and they work so hard, like this is not to take away from girls at all. I think in some ways boys were left behind, whether because of absentee fathers, absentee mentors, a culture that also wasn't holding them, and really kind of socializing them in this sort of healthy development. You know, the newest thing with young men is that they think that they have to make money and that school isn't important. And part of that's a reaction, right, to maybe not doing as well in school. And so there's a lot of obstacles in front of us, but there's also a lot of hope that we can fix this. And I think that's, you know, when I made The Mask You Live In, it didn't get the distribution that we had with Misrepresentation, because that film sort of was blown up with Oprah Winfrey Network buying it and promoting it, and it had a real cult-like following. But with The Mask You Live In, it was sort of a quieter distribution, and yet people would use the film for health reasons, for medical reasons, for mentorship reasons, because I think we were a little bit ahead of the time and ahead of the curve. So obviously it still resonates today. But again, as I'm making Misrep 2.0, I will turn to making Mask 2.0, because technology, again, it's like the backlash on steroids. And what it's doing to young boys and men in reinforcing through figures like Andrew Tate and Rogan and the whole manosphere mafia is that they need to disconnect their heads from their hearts and repress parts of themselves. And again, in hearing that message over and over again and denying parts of themselves and telling them that their only value is in their economic prowess and success and owning and controlling women, that is so harmful. That is so dehumanizing. And then reinforced by the rhetoric and behavior of the current president of the United States of America. It's so confusing. So it is a crisis, and it's one of the reasons the governor championed an executive order to really investigate and dive deep into how we can actually address this boy crisis. And the work is ongoing, and it was a big topic in today's earlier discussion on helping hold the tech companies to help us address this.
So you have 2 sons and 2 daughters.
Yes.
How do you see some of these issues playing out in your own home?
I see the frailty of the male ego. I see the perfectionist, you're not enough messaging narrative to our girls. I see it all. And my family's not unique, and my kids are so normal and so kind, and I'm so proud of them as human beings. Look, we didn't give the kids phones till they were 14, so there's just 2 with phones. But I also see the addictive tendencies in my little guy. This whole crew of 9-year-olds are all playing video games now, and I actually need to text all the moms and be like, I need to text the moms and just be like, can we just have a pact that we're going to limit? I know part of it's the sports culture is so intense that these boys just then want to get on, their candy, which is these video games after, and it's too much. I mean, after 45 minutes, it's like you've lost your kid. I've also been on chains with the 7th grade girls prior to the start of 7th grade, just saying, hey, I'm not giving my daughter a phone this year. She'll get it when she's 14. Those of you who want to follow the model of wait till 8th or listen to some of our favorite minds in this topic, like, please talk to me, because I just want to delay as much phone use and social media use amongst this group of girls, because they're such a bright, kind, talented group of girls. And 7th grade is not always fun for young women. So I just really wanted to put out there, like, we can prevent some of the unnecessary pain and suffering, but we have to be in it together.
The governor talked about on his podcast how one of your sons was really excited about his interview with Charlie Kirk. When did you find out he had this sort of admiration for Charlie Kirk or interest in Charlie Kirk? And how did that make you feel?
Yeah, so it was really exaggerated by the media, and I was a little upset about that, to be honest. But it was a curiosity. I mean, my son, he loves his grandfather, and who's a conservative, and he loves my husband, and my conservative father loves my husband. And he's just curious and kind of like, oh, I know this. You're trying to, they're trying on masculinities at that age. They're trying things on. And the right really is co-opted that. They've really manipulated that, these boys trying things on. And so I did not like it being rewritten. Of course, it's now going to be in this, but yeah, no, I was not happy about it because it's not our values and it's not who my child is. It's just, kids try things on. But it's also horrible what happened. It's horrible. It is so sad. And nobody should be shot and killed. Nobody. And so I don't really have anything more to say other than I feel so sorry for his family. I feel so sorry for his community. My husband said he was a nice man. He didn't debate him. They tried to have a civil conversation. And I do feel like my son was used to kind of further but whatever. We should all know that that's the world we're in.
Well, political violence seems to be escalating. How much do you think about the threat of something happening to your husband or to you or to your kids? Like, do you worry about that?
We all should worry about it. It is a really scary time. I thought we were making so much progress in our country on just common sense gun control. My dad's a hunter. My son hunts. My husband, we hunt and we eat what we hunt. That is just normal. Having a semi-automatic weapon in your home is not normal. Having a semi-automatic weapon when you have a serious mental health or even a minor mental health condition is not safe. We had great laws in place, some of which are being challenged in the courts in California, which is very disheartening because we were on the right side of this. We're like, go hunt, have your gun. You don't need a semi-automatic weapon. So that piece is part of the problem. And the other part of the problem is that these tech titans are profiting off of misinformation and disinformation that is dividing our country. And it's like ka-ching, 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 with all of this misinformation and hate and bigotry and othering and misogyny and. It's not who we are as human beings. It is not what we are as Americans. It alarms me that we've gotten to this place and that we've allowed it. It disturbs me that if you go on X, people that spew hate consistently have millions of viewers and followers that are like not particularly successful people. That is alarming. And that people are getting paid to spew all of this hate and disinformation and misinformation. So it is a very dangerous time. It is a very precarious time. I do believe that there are so many more good people in the world and good people in our state and good people in our country who aren't online, who are informed, who are maybe scared and silent, but who would stand up and speak out if they felt like somebody was going to harm somebody else. And that gives me hope. We will find our way. Doesn't feel like it necessarily today, but I do feel like there's a reckoning and a healing ultimately that is going to be essential in our country and that we will get back on track. We've been here before. So, I guess you have to have hope.
The governor had a huge victory with Prop 50. California overwhelmingly voted yes. Does that feel like a mandate to do more, a green light to go harder?
I feel like Prop 50 was California, we are on the right side of history. We have each other's backs. We'll go back to independent redistricting in 2030. We are, though, saying no more to Trump's tactics employs to gerrymander and basically manipulate elections and really, take over our country indefinitely. So I think it was a win and really a testament and statement to our collective values in California. And hopefully it will inspire other states to follow suit and just to realize we're stronger than we think we are and that we don't have to put up with this. I can't tell you how many people stop me and the governor and are so grateful for his courage and also so grateful to finally have hope again. Because it's been really demoralizing for so many people to see families harassed and raided and all these rights stripped away, and just to see the unnecessary violence and harm towards American citizens. So I'm proud of him and the collective for getting us to this point where we actually could have a choice.
Your husband is one of the president's most outspoken critics.
Yes.
Some might call him the president's biggest troll. When you found out that this was going to be the strategy, what did you think?
You know, my husband is such a nice human, and he's so fair that he's also very strong. And I think for him to like really put his foot down and shine a mirror back to reflect what we're all getting, this lunacy and crazy from the president and the White House accounts and their folks. I think it was important. It was critical. Because you can't normalize what's coming out of these people's mouths and phones. You cannot normalize that behavior. It is not healthy. It is not healthy. What do we say to our kids? Like, we are raising our kids to be kind and other-oriented and to be civil and respectful and to not lie and to not cheat. And yet all of this stuff that's coming out of the mouth and fingers of he who shall not be named and his minions it's wrong. It's just wrong. And so you just gotta it's parody, it's mimicry, and frankly, we needed a little levity because it's been so intense and scary for so many Californians and so many Americans. So I think I was really proud of him and his team. It's a team effort. It's not like he's typing all these things himself or even coming up with all the concepts. It's a real team effort to just reflect back the lunacy and idiocy of what we're all receiving.
Your Prop 50 victory speech got heated too. So you've joined in on some of the sparring. I have a line that I want to read back to you. You said, when he knows he's going to lose, he cheats. When the game isn't rigged for him, he rigs it himself. He's a con artist, a predator, a malignant narcissist, in chief, and the worst president in our nation's history. Mm-hmm. Is this rhetoric natural for you?
I'm a better writer than I am a speaker. So, yes, I say this stuff all the time. I really do. Because we know the truth. We know that something's wrong. We know that someone's lying. We know that he's not embodying leadership. This is such a revered, esteemed position in our country. And it's an embarrassment that this is what we've got.
Is this advancing debate or deepening division? Or is it just what it takes to win elections?
I think sadly, we're living in a time and a place where, the governor and Trump worked together in Trump's first term. We worked together. And when in this news cycle, as more investigations surfaced about his criminal conduct, the president's criminal conduct, and he was still elected president of the United States of America. And then what he accuses people of is actually him projecting what he's actually doing, which was lock her up. He should have been locked up. Who's bankrupted 6 companies? And I feel like sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. The stakes are just that high. We can't check out and move to another country or hide under a log. We can't. That's not who we are. That's not in the cards for us. We're here. This is our country, our state that we are so proud of. And my husband cares so much about this country and our democracy, and we care so much about California. And it has been extremely harmful what he has done not just to the country, but to California with his policies of bringing the National Guard in, raiding families, separating families. I mean, my husband and I have both been with children who have been separated from their parents, whose parents are in a jail in another country. It's so inhumane. It's so cruel. It is not what it means to be American. And so we have to signal to the rest of the world that we're going to be the stable state as the fourth largest economy in the world for you all, so that our economy in America doesn't go to kaput, because we're going to need the rest of the world to have our back.
2028 is a long time away. And I know the governor hasn't confirmed anything yet. But he and you both have the attention right now. Do you see yourself in the White House? Do you let yourself imagine what that life would be like?
I am so focused on this house in California. I have no thoughts about that. That's a family decision for down the line, if, when, really, if. I know my husband is talented. I love how passionate he is about policy and big ideas and systems change and transforming the status quo. I care so much about systems change, especially with regards to centering women and giving them all the support they need, not just to survive, but thrive, but also giving kids the best start in life. So it's flattering. Like I read an article about him being the front runner, and of course it's flattering. And I'm like, yeah, he's really talented. And that is like really far away. And we have a state to end strong in, a family to hold and launch, and I have no idea.
That said, you both have a lot of momentum. How do you keep that up for, let's say, 3 more years?
I can't speak to him and what we've talked about things regardless, because that is a very small percentage chance of ending up there. And I don't know if I want it. To be honest, he never dreamt of it. I don't know. I feel like he said this publicly. It was not this big aspiration of his. It's just there's been a void in standing up to Trump and just deconstructing what he's doing that is so harmful to our nation. You know, I really think Gov always wanted to be Gov, I think, when he was mayor. And I actually was so naive. I thought we were done after the mayorship. I was like, he's going to go back to being an entrepreneur, and I'm going to make my documentaries and change the world in my own way for women and girls and children. So we'll always innovate. That's who we are. We'll always innovate. We'll always find new ways to try to make a difference. And it's been a wild 7 years. And so we might need a little break. I might need a little vacation. And some good family time. We'll see. I have no idea.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Circuit. Check out the full episode to see the Newsoms open up about tech shift to the right, bare-knuckle politics, family life, and the weight of a potential presidential run. I'm Emily Chang. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Emily Chang TV. You can watch new episodes of The Circuit on Bloomberg Television, on YouTube, or on demand by downloading the Bloomberg app to your smart TV. And check out other Bloomberg podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your shows. And please let us know what you think by leaving a review. We love those. I'm your host and executive producer. Our senior producer is Lauren Ellis. Our writer is Rob Maraskin. Our editor is Gramercy Post. Thanks for listening.